Hey guys, welcome to a new mixing tutorial, and today I'm taking a look at one of my favorite mix ever, this cover of Jinn. It's so disgustingly good and so simple as well. Let's get into it. It's going to be a quick one because there's not much in this cover to talk about. I will explain the master bus processing at the end as usual. And let's skip right into drums. So the drum sound is the drum sound I have cooked up with the new Bobershell Signature Series drums. So this drum mix is described in the Actions Speak Louder Than Words mixing tutorial by Flux Conduct. So that's the mixing tutorial you go to check the full rundown on this drum sound, which I'm still iffy about. Here it worked way better than in that last cover for some reason, but I'm still iffy about the cymbals. I might be doing something different with this kit soon, but for now you go to the Flux Conduct Actions Speak Louder Than Words tutorial. It's banging. For some reason it sounds better than on that cover. Maybe it's just the fact that it's more of a low tune song and this fits better. I don't know. But yeah, let's talk about that tasty bass, right? So, for plugins, first things first, we're affecting the DI a little bit before it hits the amplifier. We're taking down this magnetic ring that my pickups have. And we're boosting some fatness. There's plenty of that 100/80/120 character in my bass tone, but that sub can be a little bit better. When I add the distortion, you'll see what this is. A little spike that's not too pleasant. The distortion is the Lassie Lammert pack called Bass Classic Grind. It's just the bass classic grind, right? But it's very thick, and I want to balance the low end with the high end, so I use Joel Wanasek Bus Glue Bass, which has two separate limiters, one for the low end and one for the high end. And here I get to give them different compression and a different volume. On, please. Big balance difference, and also an EQ curve change into the EQ. So you can see my basic filters, nothing beneath 45 Hertz and nothing above 9K. That's just fizz, and that was just rumble. But a lot of mid-range corrections. So a little bit of low mids, 120 and 160 taken care of. And then even more of a scoop in the 300 and 580 region. Just makes it fit like a glove. Here's my drums. Okay, so let's talk about this epic guitar tone. Something I had never tried before is an emulation of a JCM 800. So this is on the STL Tone Hub Dan Cornef pack. And yeah, it's emulating a JCM 800. If you guys got any amp sim that emulates this, try it out. Because it has this scratch. This fizzy scratch that is so good. I EQ'd the DI beforehand when I noticed it was a bit honky, the amplifier. So I decided to take those frequencies out of the DI instead of later out of the amp, and I liked it better. This shit. And then a usual filter to control low end, 100 Hertz high pass, pretty common, as well as a 12K low pass to get rid of fizz. And here's my new hero, a dynamic band for palm mutes. So at around 180 to 200, I put a dynamic band in the Pro Q, which I used to do with a multi-band compressor or a dynamic EQ like F6. This EQ, you can have flat bands and you can also make them dynamic, which is pretty cool. So I just do this in this region. And it thins out the palm mutes in a very nice way. Into some compression that does a little bit of the same thing, but also pushes everything forward, and you got it. Awesome. As for the lead sound, first thing, quad tracked, low octaves here, double tracked, and high octaves double tracked. Nice and thick without the effects as well. This is the Will Putney on stock settings. I turned down the gain a little bit on every track, that's all. And then all the processing was done in the bus, to all of them together. So here's what it did. Compression, a little bit to make sure everything is evened out. Constant 2 dB of gain reduction. And then the EQ to thin the sound out. An aggressive high pass at 220, as well as a dynamic band as well at 220 to make sure that when the low notes hit, they aren't too loud. You can also hear it generously get rid of some fizz as well as some spikies. And this is another friend that helps get rid of spikies, the BX Refinement Harshness Control. It's just a different flavor of these notches. That's a lead tone. This part is insanity. Clean tones then. Something awesome about these clean tones. No processing on the individual tracks at all. There's just effects on the bus. And it's the DIs. There is no amp simulation on this. It's direct into the interface. Split middle? How good is that? Then we process it to make it jinty. Compression for consistency. EQ to thin it out. I copy the EQ from the leads actually. Same filters, same dynamic thing at 220, but there's a little bit of reduction in the honkiness at 600. and some harshness at 2K. Note when I say some in these EQ dips, we're talking about 1.5 dB and 2 dB, so not a lot of work. Reverb for sure. 8 seconds modulating, 50% mix, sounded about right, and a generous low cut. You don't want a rumbly reverb. Delay, a generous 20% mix as well. 8th note ping pong, the stereo is the important part, and also modulating a bit. If you can hear it bounce there, there's also filtering on it so that the bounces aren't very pick-attacky. Which in retrospect could have been a lot higher of a filter. I like hearing the repeats. Compression again, let's make sure it's as loud as it can be. Getting a bit aggressive there. Don't like it too much, but well, you live, you learn. And another low cut and dynamic thing, a 300 this time. This was to put a certain note in check, that doom doom, no, the doom doom, put that note in check. And my new favorite trick with this EQ, you can EQ either just the sides or the mid channel only, and I've been cutting mids from the mid channels to make it go away from here and into the sides. So if I turn it on and off, you'll hear some wideness. You can hear it makes it thinner, of course, but it also makes it wider. And then my bro recorded a didgeridoo. How good is that? I did no processing to it almost. It's pretty thick. The reverb helped make it wide and a bit brighter. Oh yeah, I did kind of process it. So a filter at 45 to get rid of the subs. That mid trick to make it a bit wider. Get that out of the center. And I wanted to hear the ring that he does, very funny, in the 2K area. In retrospect, this higher stuff here can also add to that. For sure. Now we gotta blow this up in the master. So first things first. Okay. First things first, Golfos. So you guys know I like this, and I've been trying to use it more aggressively, ever more aggressively, to see how it works. So this is automatic EQ for anything. Recover, there's two parameters. Recover is, let's make the good frequencies pop. And tame is, let's tame the harsh and the lame ones. This is an automatic EQ. In the mix bus, it's gonna make your mix sound like this. Bad part. You can see very big boosts in the high end, which I like, but will tame after. And balancing of the lows when the kick is hitting, as well as mid-range magic. Just makes it sound more hi-fi, really. Mix bus compression. Let's get the kick and the snare pumping the entire mix. So if the kick and snare hit this compressor that's on the master, everything will move with the kick and snare and become a bit quieter, which will make the music pump. If you can hear some low-end enhancement, that's because of this transformer saturation here at the bottom that emulates some analog thickness. Then this linear multiband compressor is a compressor just like the one before, but it gives me frequency balance adjustments I can make because it's 5 different frequency bands, each one with their different compression settings. Low end, low mid, mid, high end, and fizz. So usually I'll run the mix through this flat and it will duck a lot of the mid band, which I will tame a little bit. But on this mix, I wanted it to hit the low mid band harder because my bass is very strong and I didn't want to take that away, but I did want to keep it in check. Gives it a different type of pump and glue that this compressor doesn't. And then the tape honestly is here to correct a little bit of that exaggerated high boost of Gullfoss and give it further thickness in everything else. It brings a little bit of the low level stuff up and the high level stuff down, which is compression. But in this little guy, there is a high frequency trim that I take advantage of to, well, trim the high frequencies. Mix is a bit darker and more controlled. Limiting. So now that I like the frequency balance with those extra 4 plugins, we're gonna blow this up. To blow this up in loudness, not blow it up, that's bad, but like make it proper loud and banging. The main culprits that we can make this loud because if we just turn up the fader, they'll start to distort, is the kick and snare. And that's what I want to see be chopped off in ozone, which is my main limiter that I like the sound of when chopping kick and snare. So you can see them there, mostly looking to hit just them. Buys us an enormous amount of volume without sacrificing too much of the drum character. Very nice. And then to dig in further, I'll just get the extra little bit of gain digging into the guitar level with FabFilter Pro L in the transparent setting. You can see how well it handled the crushing even, but 1 dB, I'll take it because I don't want it to be too squashy. That is this awesome mix, guys. Thank you so much for washing your hands and staying home. Hope you learned something. I am very happy with it, very happy with my sound, very happy with you guys and your support. Thank you so much. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Leave questions down below. Peace.